Welcome one, welcome all to Round Table Talk. It's been a minute since we had the whole crew. Jeff, as usual, is having technical difficulties, so we'll get started without him. But welcome Taylor, welcome Gary.
Hello. Sorry, adjusting my stuff. There we go.
Jeff, was that you?
Jeff is showing that somehow he's in here, and he can see us, but we can't see him. So I'm not sure what's going on with him.
He's a ghost.
Yeah. I thought I heard him for 1 second.
So we'll get started, and hopefully he can get it figured out. But so tonight we're going to be talking about these. We've talked about in the past on a couple of episodes. We talked about ancient technologies and ancient civilizations and things like that. But this new, and maybe Taylor, you're the one that initially sent it to me. Maybe you can kind of clue us in on this new finding that just happened. Here this month.
So I guess it was back in in 2022 was the first research paper that kind of came out. Allegedly, these individuals have found a new, what would you call it? They call it like SAR, a sensory array, something.
Probably like a radar or something like that.
It's like a radar that penetrates into the ground. Well, normally it only penetrates into the ground, a few meters, and that's about it. Well, they claim that they have a new technology that lets them go really deep and really far into the ground. And I think you pronounce it's the Khafre. Is the Khafre? Is that how you say it? Pyramid.
Khafre pyramid. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And so they were using this technology, and in their paper that they just presented, they didn't do a scientific release, they did a press release, which I think is probably the right move with what they're trying to do, and I'll get into it a little bit later. But they came out with this report that there are 8 columns that basically are going into the ground underneath the pyramid. They're about 80 meters long, 640 meters deep. And then underneath that appears to be 2 giant rooms or areas. And then they said as they scanned around, there seems to be what they called a giant city underneath all the pyramids. They're all connected with about 2 kilometers of what we would call tunnels and different things, all connecting this area. So this, of course, would probably be the greatest discovery on Earth ever to happen if it is true.
That was a pain in the ass.
All right. Well, Jeff, you are a pain.
Jeff entered the room
Jeff.
virtually like he enters rooms in real life.
He's like silent.
Well, that was a pain in the ass.
So,
or prison.
All in all, we have this. They allegedly have found. I want to put allegedly there because later I'll get into what the skeptics are saying. But allegedly, basically, a city that exists underneath the pyramids, and what is it? Why was it built? What is it used for? Well, if it is true that this structure does exist, it was not made by humans, especially in the Bronze Age. Maybe humans that possess technology far beyond what we have today, but not
pre-flood civilizations? Question mark?
Yeah, pre-flood that had technology that we haven't figured out yet, because this is such a massive structure. The ability to dig, I think they said ultimately at the end, it would be the farthest depth that they allegedly could scan down to was about a kilometer underneath the earth. And so,
I think.
what?
I think it's 2
Well, yeah,
kilometers.
no, it's well, they're saying that there's these 8 columns that are directly under the Cafe pyramid, and there's a spiral staircase around each of them that go down 2,100 feet. So,
2,100 feet deep. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
freaking insane. And then on below those, there's supposed to be like 2 huge cubes that they're sitting on,
Yeah.
and
Well, and below that, there's supposed to be some vast underground city that's like
that's what Taylor was just saying.
6,500 feet directly beneath.
Yeah, the 2 kilometers is they said that's how like the tunnels, how far they scanned out, and they said underneath each pyramid are basically similar structures. So it's like a huge old network, allegedly, because I'll get into one of the problems with everything that they're saying.
Allegedly. I love that. So it's that synthetic aperture radar is what they were referring to.
There you go. Appreciate it, Gary.
So I guess I'll throw in this what the skeptics are saying. Everybody else kind of throw out kind of what they're thinking. So the skeptics are basically trying to put out there that the technology that we were using before this could only go a few meters into the ground. So unless there was some huge advancement in technology made that everybody was unaware of, it's highly unlikely they're able to scan this deep. So there is that big concern.
That's what she said.
She definitely said that about Jeff.
Yeah.
He
Before
cannot
you
scan
continue,
that
though,
deep.
how do you define how we can scan that low for oil?
I don't know. Like I don't know what they use for scanning oil and if it's a different technology but they were just one of the archaeologists was commenting saying, hey, we use these radar to try to find stuff, and he goes, I'm very skeptical in the sense that we can only look a few meters deep, and they've also said the other kind of big concern is we've done this before underneath that pyramid and we found no structures. So that is the skeptics kind of point.
Uh-oh.
Oh, did we lose Taylor? Oh, we lost Taylor.
Oh,
There we go.
I think we lost
We'll add
voice,
it
but
back.
not. Okay,
All
we got video back, kind of. No, lost him again.
Reload.
There we go. Oh, what is going on here?
DJ Remix, quit.
Well, we'll see if he comes back. So yeah, no, I mean it brings up a valid point though. As far as there we go. As far as is this legit? I mean they're saying that they scan below. I saw some of the scans, and it looked like if I was reading it right that there was
Now I
definitely
can't
like
hear anybody. What the fudge?
some kind of void or something under there. But yeah, Taylor, if you're still having issues, Taylor, maybe like reboot or something. Um, I'm showing you have a strong signal. But yeah, no, I mean it begs the question, if those are under there, why have they not, been found before?
Here's
With all
here's
the
here's my
excavations
response to
and
that
stuff
though,
that
and
have
I
been
mean,
going on.
absolutely, maybe it's all bullshit, right? But here's what I want to know: wouldn't that be super easy to disprove, right? Another group takes the same scanning tech, goes out there, is like, yeah, we found squat, or for that matter, since this is not the actual pyramids themselves. I mean, if I'm the government of Egypt tomorrow, I'm setting up a dig like
Right?
500 yards away and going down and going sideways and being like, am I going to hit some columns?
No, I mean it's I mean there's definitely there's definitely that. There's without disturbing the pyramids themselves, they definitely could dig down because if the size is what they're saying, it's not like they have to destroy the pyramids to see what's under there. They just got to dig down, some relatively
Right.
close, and they're gonna find, because there's got to be something. If that's down there, there's got to be walls that are shoring up the sand and the dirt from falling in on it.
So let me answer one of the questions that Jeff just posed. Why haven't we found this before? Well, hey, we've not had this kind of technology before.
Well, it's like
Right.
lidar.
Or we have found it. It just wasn't public information
or
because of the aliens. I'm telling you
or
guys.
or you're Taylor's best buddy and you
Hey,
believe in
how about
aliens.
this? How about this? Can you imagine how pissed off you'd be if you're some slave laborer back in like the? Because dude, these pyramids are like 4,500 years old, right? So can you
Well,
imagine, like,
that
hey Jimmy, you're
that's
gonna dig a mile into the ground just because this guy wants this underneath to make sure he's held steady while he's resting in eternity. I mean, come on, there's got to be a better purpose than that. That's just such a waste of energy and time and resources,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah, like the idea that gosh, can you like just the tomb idea that this would be a tomb is so absurd when it's just the pyramid. Like, I mean, just stop and think, oh, we're going to spend the next 80 years to build a tomb for some guy.
Oh shit, I
well,
Like,
bet it
there,
took a
there's
lot longer than
there's some
that.
pretty there's some pretty compelling evidence, even without what they're saying is potentially below this thing, that the pyramid was built as a like power generation. So there's
yeah,
there's chambers in it that they've done samples, and and I'm sure you've heard of the Baghdad battery, where it's like a clay pot, and then there was like an iron rod in it with copper, and
Yeah.
it was a very rudimentary battery, basically. So they had the technology back then, and they think that they used it to like electroplate, things, objects and things like that. But the
well,
pyramid, what's that?
Nicol- Nikola
It only took
Tesla
20
said
years
that
to
he thought the
build.
pyramid
What
was
the
an energy belt.
hell?
No, he did. He did. And then, what I got up here on the screen right now, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I mean, it looks like, and this is a hieroglyphic that's in the pyramids, is it looks like a freaking light bulb. It has what looks to be a serpent in there, but it looks like a bulb with an element is what it looks like. And then there's like a wire attached to it. Um, there was inside the pyramid, there's they've found copper rods, like ancient copper rods that are embedded in the some of the shafts that lead down to basins that they've done samples, and that used to be filled with like vinegar and these different elements that potentially could generate a electric current. And then
Well,
some of the materials that were used under pressure have piezoelectric properties, like crystals, to where they can generate electricity as well. Like when you rub two crystals together, and they create light, with nothing else, just rubbing two crystals together, you can create light. It's the same technology that we use in quartz watches and things like that.
Well, the best
So,
argument that I've ever heard was when you look in the tombs that actually we found the bodies in, not in the pyramids, but when you go in those tombs, there's no evidence of soot anywhere where you would, if you had a big
oh yeah,
old
yeah,
torch.
like torches or candles or yeah.
Yeah, you see, there's no evidence that they used that, and so they had to have some way to have light down there in order to, paint all those murals that they did all over the walls.
Well, I mean, what about bringing up Nikola Tesla again? He claimed that he figured out wireless electricity. To where, I mean, if the pyramid was some sort of power generation, like a Tesla coil, to where anything in the general vicinity, like these like that light bulb that's that I was showing on the screen,
Now,
to
now you're
where
going to support Nikola Tesla?
well,
You know,
no,
I
I mean
read
it's
today that he loved a pigeon like a woman. I
that
don't know
he
what that
what?
means. He said, and I quote, a man can love a pigeon like he loves a woman.
Well, Mike Tyson loves him some pigeons.
Well,
Are
I'm
you
a-
going to
I need
argue
some
with that,
prison time
man?
over that.
Yeah,
No, I'm not
yeah, no.
arguing
Are
Mike Tyson
you
about
gonna
anything.
argue with Mike Tyson about loving pigeons?
well, he was a genius. Let's put it that way.
Mike Tyson?
Let's see here. He admitted to
Oh,
falling in love with a very special white pigeon that visited him regularly. He reportedly said, "I love that pigeon as a man loves a woman, and she loves
Oh,
me."
all right.
Okay,
Well, hey,
all
who
right.
am I to judge?
I
yeah.
mean,
Well,
I
I
don't
don't
like
know.
I,
pigeons,
Podcast host, I
so
guess. So
Maybe he
judge
identified
will.
as a pigeon. I don't know.
He was,
well,
he was before his time.
I'm going to be
Is
honest. Some of the
is
wisest things that I have heard said lately is from Mike Tyson. Have you listened to like some of his quotes, man? The guy freaking has some of the best quotes I've ever heard in my life.
Who, Tesla?
no.
No, Mike
He
Tyson.
no,
actually.
Mike Tyson.
Oh, Mike Tyson. Yeah, man. I know a lot of stuff, man.
Let me
Let's
find.
see.
Oh my gosh, if that's the one thing that ever goes viral from us, we're totally screwed. He's gonna come kill me. He is awesome
No,
though. I
he's not
mean,
going to kill you. He's going to be the next governor of California.
he is he really? He might.
No.
Well, here.
I mean,
Let
if
me let me let
Schwarzenegger
me
can do it.
well let me throw this at you guys. So, this is supposed to be a hieroglyphic. I mean, I've seen it on the Ancient Aliens show, and the crazy haired, Greek dude that looks like he fake tans and dresses like Indiana Jones. Um some of these hieroglyphics, and they, like one of them looks like a Black Hawk helicopter.
Right up
One
top,
looks
yeah.
like a freaking yacht.
One
Another
looks
one
like a
looks like an
submarine.
airplane. It's it's
All right, wait a
there's a lot
minute.
of really weird shit that exists, at the pyramids.
Does that
It
look like
looks
an
like
airplane, or does it look like aliens? That looks like it looks like a flying saucer, dude.
it does, dude. It's like it looks like it looks like a helicopter, then a saucer, and then what the hell's below it? I don't know, but
A submarine.
a submarine. Yeah, we've got
Yeah,
one.
no, yeah, a submarine or some kind of UFO or airplane, or I mean, it
Oh,
kind
God,
of
get
looks
off
like a.
Taylor's bandwagon. They ain't no damn UFO.
It could totally be a UFO. Here's the thing: it is or it isn't. Dun dun dun.
No way to prove it. Just like the New
Uh,
York Post said that the only way to prove the skepticism is through targeting excavations on this. That's the only way to
yeah.
prove it.
I hope they do.
Well,
They
well,
should. Why wouldn't they?
let's shift a little bit for a second, and not just focus on the pyramids. What about other findings that are somewhat recent that disprove what mainstream archaeology thought to be fact? Was you have Glotobioteki that was pre flood. It was over 12,000 years ago. And of course, you have the myth legend that across the globe, before there was modern times, back in the day, there is legends. And Taylor, you can probably speak on this. You're very well steeped in religions and stuff like that. But pretty much every major religion on the planet, ancient religion, has a flood myth, story.
Yeah.
And Glotobioteki, um, basically, puts a lot of modern archaeology and beliefs on its ear, because they believe that that far back, that basically we were hunter gatherers, that we hadn't started building civilizations, and we didn't have
Well,
architecture, and we
and
weren't able to move massive stones.
the hard part for me with archaeology today is so like Tepe, that site, it's still not excavated. It's in fact they buried part of it, and it's
well
like
well, well
if
part of
if
it
you
has
guys if you guys are really wanting to find the truth about what's going on in the ancient world, every archaeologist in the world should be trying to unearth that thing, but they don't seem interested in really knowing anything past a certain point. It's almost like anything that contradicts our narrative, we're not going to really look into.
And that's
Well,
weird to me, because
100%.
I'll read you what I found real quick.
Is there narratives or beliefs?
Plutobio Tepe
Beliefs, narrative.
has been excavated since the 1990s, and with new findings in the 2020s, pushed the site's oldest layers to around 11,500 BCE. Recent discoveries of smaller, older enclosures nearby suggest a longer, more complex development than
Mhm.
previously thought, contradicting the mainstream timeline of sedentary, so stationary, societies forming after agriculture. So, so yeah, I mean, I know that they've excavated a portion of it, but Taylor's right. If this has, those sort of implications, why wouldn't they go, nuts, balls deep and just excavate the whole thing?
Because they can't scan that deep. That's the thing.
Well,
Dig it out.
Hey, dude. So have you guys talked about? Because I missed it. I don't think you have. Did you talk about? I don't know how to say it right. It's that area of Pakistan, the Indus Valley. It's called Mohenjo-Daro.
Yeah, I got that pulled up as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
no, it looks
crazy.
like there was a nuclear blast.
And for our resident skeptic, our resident skeptic, let me read. I got this on Grok. Let me read this to you, right? All right, so check this out. Discovered in the 1920s by archaeologist Rakaladas. Okay, forget that. Some Indian dude
Why is
or
your guys'
Pakistani dude.
cameras off? I feel like me and Gary are like freaking having phone
My
sex.
camera's off because I can't switch
There we
off
go.
on my phone and look at anything, and so I'm looking at my laptop while talking on my phone. But
All
yeah.
right.
also, I just
So
came in from cleaning the garage for 5 hours.
for some
So
reason, my video stopped, and so I'm just stuck with my face like that.
No, I was texting my son because he was asking for a pin code for Netflix. Idiot sandwich.
but we're all here. We're all here in spirit. So anyway, so check this out. This guy discovers it. I don't know. He's Pakistani. He's Indian. He's in that region in the 20s. This thriving metro. Can't say it. Metropolis. There we go. Of the Indus
Metropolis.
Valley
Yeah.
civilization, built around 2600 BCE, was a planned city, wide streets, brick houses with bathrooms,
Yep.
even a sophisticated drainage system. Bronze Age urban center that puts many modern cities to shame. Built around 1900 BCE, was abandoned, but around 1900 BCE was abandoned. The reason why remains a mystery. And so when they dug in, they did the dig, they found skeletons sprawled in the streets, 44 of them, some holding hands as if struck down in an instant. No
Yep.
signs of battle, no weapons, just
Turn the
people lying
glass.
there unburied. Then it says there's the vitrified ruins, section
Yep.
of brick and pottery fused into glass, requiring temperatures over 1500 degrees Celsius. That's hotter than any known furnace at the time. British researcher David Davenport, who studied the site in the 70s, pointed to a 50-yard wide epicenter where the destruction was most intense, suggesting an explosion, possibly nuclear, wiped out the city around 2000 BCE. And here's the kicker: ancient Vedic texts like the, I can't say
Yep.
this,
Bahamastra.
Mahabharata,
Yeah.
Bahamastra.
that one, describes weapons of catastrophic power, blasts that turn sand to glass and leave bodies unburned but lifeless. In one passage, even mentions a single projectile charged with all the power of the universe, leveling cities in a flash.
Well, that same ancient text talks about cities in the like floating cities in the sky. Having basically cities of the gods having battles.
I mean, this is nuts.
No,
Yeah,
there's stuff like this all over the globe. There's also the pre-flood civilization myth. Evidence of that. There is.
well, and like one of the coolest things you can ever do is go to Google Earth, and you can see like 10,000 year ago coastline, because the sea the ocean has risen about 200, is it 200 feet or 200 meters since
The Ice
since
Age.
yeah, since the ice age. And so most humans used to live by the water. So
Well, of
almost
course,
every city
like they do now.
is buried. Yeah, exactly. Just like it is now, is buried deep underneath the ocean and washed away. So it's like if we had, as if humans did advance a long time ago, and it appears that our advancement would have been very different because if you look at like the Indian temples, you find out like a lot of their architecture of these. I mean, they're incredible what they did just hundreds of
Oh yeah.
years ago. They're all like tuned to make um,
Oh
you
yeah,
know to
like resonance.
yeah with resonance and just like the structure of them. uh it's almost like they were built with sound, and it's like how did they do these things and build these things back then, because it appears that they may
It
have
seems
had
like
very different technology than we do today.
well, it seems like a lot of their technology, and this is all over the globe, was very sound based. Sound waves
Yeah,
they had like almost an unnatural uh, knowledge of how to use sound. I mean, even in like medieval times, like the chapels and stuff that they built. The way that they built them to where, well, even in the Capitol Rotunda in Washington D.C., you can stand in a certain spot in there, and because of the way it's shaped, it's you can hear, like, if somebody can whisper, and you can stand anywhere in that dome and hear exactly what that person is saying.
yeah, it's like the
It's a really weird knowledge of how sound moves and how to use sound.
It's like the bee. They have no idea how the bee flies, but apparently, because the wings are so small for its body, but apparently it's hollow inside and it vibrates a certain way when it flaps its wings, which they believe somehow allows the bee to be able to fly.
That's the same way
Um,
a Blackhawk flies. The blades are hollow. They're honeycomb shaped.
and does it
Oh,
vibrate a certain way?
They
well,
do.
Gary would know. He was in an aviation unit.
They
Yeah.
do.
So
Oh, that's
so what you're
interesting.
talking about, Taylor, what you're talking about is mean Meenakshi Amman Temple. The musical pillars produce distinct musical notes when struck, resembling various instruments like drums, tabla, and flute. So it's a temple in India, in Indonesia, that basically the structure itself, it's not musical instruments. The structure itself, you can strike different parts of the temple, and like the temple itself is almost a musical instrument.
Yeah. Um,
So I
I
pose
always
a
find it
question for you. With the pyramids, everything we're talking about, how does that affect us today, and why?
well if it is true that human beings either possessed unique technology. Um, well, one is the question is what happened to those people? If they're all dead, or if they're dead and we went back to like a Stone Age society at some point, why did we go back to Stone Age? Why weren't they? If you could construct a civilization like the Egyptian civilization appears to be, how come and you built it underground? Well, you should have been able to survive it. Why did we regress as societies? Um, could a
Mass
lot of
extinction.
mass death, but the people who survived were the hunter gatherers apparently. So there apparently wasn't a worldwide
Well,
catastrophe that killed off all humans.
I mean,
Or we
think of it this way. I mean, think of it as like you were saying. Most of our major cities, and where most of our technology is on the coast. San Francisco, New York, London. A lot of those places. And then you got bumpkins like me. That are out in the woods. And so if those coastal areas got taken out, and country bumpkins like me took over the world, we would be the hunter gatherers. And there would be all these ruins of the, of these advanced technologies, but I wouldn't know how to reproduce AI. I wouldn't know how to reproduce a lot of the technologies of today, and
Yeah.
especially back then. If I was a country bumpkin, I
Oh,
wouldn't
and
understand how they built, these massive, architectural feats and
or just
temples that were able to generate sound and so I
yeah,
mean think about it from that context where yeah, if there was a massive flood and the lower, lying areas were taken out, I mean, that would be just a huge, shift in, human advancement. And within a generation or two, it would be oral tradition to pass those stories down, like the flood theories and things
Oral.
like where it seemed like it was just myth and legend.
so I think that's yeah, exactly. But the bigger thing is like it would suggest that if society does fall apart on advanced civilizations, when it goes bad, it can go bad for thousands of years.
So, Betty, she definitely hit the nail on the head. We need to go revisit the Stargate movie because
Yeah.
you know what? That's what I think is under the Giza pyramids. Is I think it's the motherfucking Stargate, and I want to go there with Kurt Russell with a P90, and I want to do some shit.
That's awesome.
I want to travel to through the wormhole and visit the the Anunnaki and some other advanced civilizations and see what we can muster up.
I
But
mean, I think
like,
that's totally fair.
Because Kurt Russell's a badass. I don't know if you know.
I mean,
if we really take it seriously and going into how
Nothing serious about
advanced,
this, Taylor. Come on.
yeah, but like how advanced Egypt would have had to have been to do what they did. And it's and one other problem that I have is because I'm a history major in college. I love history,
Oh yeah, me too. I
but
was
like
looking at it.
it's amazing how much I was not told about and how much like scientists claim to be scientists but really aren't because they are so close-minded. They have constructed a narrative and you're not allowed to think outside of that narrative. Whenever I would, do any kind of research paper or anything like that, it always felt like we have a story of how things came about, and that's it. And there's no evidence outside of it. Well, there is a lot of evidence that there may have been other paths and there may have been other things, but anyone who seems to suggest it is immediately called a quack. It's like get in line and think like
Well,
all of us
well,
because we're right.
what's that dude that's always on Joe Rogan? The older guy that for like decades he's been trying to bring. He's the one that is always talking about pre-flood civilizations, and for decades he's been called a quack and been heckled and been shouted down by the archaeological community. But a lot of the stuff that he said is now somewhat proven. Some of it proven to be
Thank you.
Graham Hancock.
Yeah, that it's just like in any like human beings were really not that intelligent of a species. We feel like we are, but we really can't think outside of our belief structures and our narrative structures. And so it's hard for us to imagine, different, like not only just that says, our history could be much different than it really is, but that technology could have been very different than what we've created today. And this path that we've gone, that everything is material and that's the only way that you can actually advance technology is by constructing things through a materialistic way instead of using something like vibrations or sound or other mechanisms. Um,
Well,
we get
well,
we get stuck in these thoughts and these ways so much that it really limits us. And so when we talk about this, or you hear these kind of stories, it sounds so crazy to think this way. And then we call men like him quacks because it doesn't fit our narrative that we've created.
Well, and that's weird to me because, isn't science about, constantly questioning and having to, prove, or disprove things? It's almost counterintuitive to where if somebody brings up an idea, it's like, there should be a discussion without bias, to flesh out, is there anything here? But it seems like lately science isn't like that.
No,
You see it in a lot of different areas.
no. Well, one, history isn't science. It's an art, and so that's
Well, I
one.
mean, there is science in it. I mean, there's
Oh
radiocarbon
yeah.
dating. There's there's a lot of fact. You know, you have to find facts to support the thesis for certain narratives, and without that, I mean, I can claim whatever. I mean, I can claim Atlantis, had UFOs and all that stuff, but without some sort of, artifacts or texts or something to support it, then what good is it? Well, and actually, this is a good example. Crypto Breezy. He talks about that road in Atlantis in the Bahamas, the Bahimi Road. There's a lot of debate, and I tend to think that it's a natural formation. But it does look like a road, and I believe it's basalt or something like that, but it's fractured in a way that it looks like paving stones, of a built road. I'll see if I can pull up an image of it real quick. But sorry, go ahead and continue.
Oh, I'm good. Jeff, you have something?
Well, no, I mean, I think it's interesting Bo's comment about basically like what's it mean to us, right? And honestly, mine's not a whole lot. Well, I don't. It doesn't mean diddly on it, whether or not I got to go to work tomorrow. But I got to tell you, man, I'm watching Severance, and that show drives me nuts, and it's fake. And I can't wait for it to freaking tell me what the hell's going on. Same thing with the show Lost. So I just love this stuff. And I want there to be like I also think that all of humanity could use a nice humbling. I mean, I think whether it was aliens or ancient civilizations or just technology we didn't know, like I think it'd be great for a second if we could recognize that maybe we are not quite as badass as we think we are. Right? I mean, Plato wrote of Atlantis in his writings, right? Like said he started. I mean, who knows if it's true or not, or just a. I mean, it could have just been an island that had a bad earthquake and got drowned. Who knows? But I think there's. I think it's just fun to have mystery and wonder and stuff. And I also think it's cool that we can still get surprised because people act like we know everything now. And if this stuff with the pyramids true, even if it's 100% the most ridiculous tomb on the planet, like we literally are missing things that are, you know,
Well, here's
hundreds upon hundreds of meters long, right under our noses, and had no clue.
here's another theory of reality that may be an actual possibility. I mean, it's even written in Catholic writings, like in their teachings. There was a lot of debate whether or not there is any such thing as a past or a future. A lot of debate is that everything exists in a now, and what God does is what you think of as the past is His creation. So, if there is really no such thing as a past or a future, and everything just exists in an eternal now, and what you think of the past is just what God places there to give a story for your mind to think that you're on some kind of timeline, then God could change it at any moment. And our experience of, like, when I grew up, all these theories that we're talking about, to me, were completely absurd, and there was no evidence for them. But it seems like, oh, well, new evidence shows up all the time for these, this different way of thinking. And maybe it's not because that's how the past really was. Maybe the truth is, we're creating the past with our own minds, and God's just supplementing it into our heads and creating the evidence to create a story and make it seem like that is what the past really is. But the real truth is, we just exist in an eternal now, and every given moment is some type of fake past that is given to you.
But is he paving our future or life path, or are we creating it ourselves? And we're just believing that there's a higher power. Oh, Taylor's gonna get spun up.
Yeah, well, so it's hard. Like
Well,
I have no,
Guys, before you get into this, you should know that when my phone
first
died
of
for like
all,
3 minutes, I literally explained the mysteries of the universe, but I don't feel like repeating myself, so continue.
so, what is it? 49. The answer to the
42.
universe.
It's 42. Just like the
42.
center
I'm
chunk of the
sorry.
galaxy.
I didn't divide by pi. My bad. So first of all, Taylor, blasphemy. I just want to put that out there. That it's you shouldn't go against the Catholic Church. That's blasphemy. You'll get burned as a witch. But I'm gonna go ahead and say that. Let's
hey,
see.
that's a theory within the Catholic Church.
So
Oh my. I'm
something
off
that I
for
that
3 minutes and
that
now
I
we're
want to
into the
bring up.
Catholic Church.
Because we keep mentioning how the establishment, as far as archaeology, they have their narrative, and it's been the same for a very long time. I mean, for my lifetime at least. Um, as far as ancient civilizations and like what technology they had and where they came from, and like the land bridge, between Alaska and Russia, things like that during the Ice Age, so on and so forth. But a very recent technological advance is lidar, for example, and this is kind of goes back to the pyramids where they're using that ground penetrating, SAR technology. Whereas, we thought that there was a handful of, large cities that the Aztec and Maya and Inca, had in Central and South America. But now because of lidar, that I have up on the screen, they're able to penetrate through the canopy, the triple canopy of the Amazon and jungles, and they're finding hundreds, if not thousands, of ancient cities that existed in Central and South America that were just blanketed by jungle that they didn't know existed. And so it begs the question, if there was this vast network of cities and civilizations in Central and South America, what about these other places, around the globe, in India, in Egypt, in different Asian countries like China and Japan, the city that was found at the mouth of the Ganges in India. There's a lot of these civilizations that predate what modern day archaeologists say, that we went from hunter gatherer to agriculture, to where we stayed static long enough to develop these advanced civilizations.
Yeah. Well, I don't know,
Mhm.
but I wish we did. It's so cool. It's fun.
Well, I mean, but what are the implications of that? I mean, let me pose that question to all of you. What are the implications that if we continue down this road where technology advances with AI and quantum computing and lidar and SAR and all these, if we start getting these satellite technologies where we're able to scan the entire globe and locate a lot of these ancient civilizations that were forgotten, and we start to realize that human civilization and advanced civilization with technology has existed long before we previously thought, within just a couple of thousand years, that it goes back tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years.
Well, if
Then
we
we're
take
gonna stop thinking for ourselves.
Yeah, so like if we take the current narrative, human beings have been around for what well, I guess Homo sapiens sapiens is 75,000 years. Homo
Did you say
sapiens have been
homo?
around. Yes,
Homos have been around for 75,000 years. Go on.
yeah,
Homos have been
that
around for 75,000 years.
that's Michael, that's what you are, okay?
Yes,
Just
yes.
get it in your head. So, Michael, your homoness
My
has been
my
around for
Your
ancestry, my Homo
homoness.
ancestry has been around for over 75,000 years.
so if we follow, let's
Taylor, I
say
want
every
you to
10,000.
know you're part of my ancestry.
I know, yeah, we're connected, unfortunately. So, so
Homo.
if we take that into consideration, so that means that every 10,000 years there's like a reset, or 6,000 years, whatever you want to kind of go by, somewhere in there. So we know that means it's gone somewhere between 7 and 10 times that a process has gone about where we apparently can advance from uh, basically hunter-gatherer society to conquering the whole globe and creating advanced technology, pretty quickly when certain things come about. It's just hard to believe that we went, human beings who have the same mental processing power right now for, you know, basically, or I guess we're going to say 75,000 or 74,500 years, basically couldn't really get things together. And then magically we just did it in the last couple of years. Maybe that is the true story, but it would seem logical along that timeline that at some point there may have been a breakaway civilization that figured it out.
That's cute
And
that you think that we have our shit together.
yeah,
Honestly, I think
He's an optimist.
we have it
well,
together less and less, in my opinion.
yeah, that is true, but also it's like we have our shit together better than we ever have because society is the most peaceful that it's ever been. Like,
I challenge you that that's wrong, because I would wake up tomorrow wishing that I was in the 50s.
Oh, hell yeah.
oh well,
Well, the
yeah,
50s in this country.
yeah, yeah. If
Right.
you're
Okay, I stand corrected. Yes, in this country.
So Sack Nasty says that we're a prison planet that destroys ourselves every few thousand years for population control, I'm guessing.
so you guys know who Robert Monroe is, right? I've told you guys about
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
So Robert Monroe was the guy that started the Gateway Project. He was a wealthy businessman that started coming out of his body at nighttime and thought he was crazy, and then decided to get together a group of people and study himself. And they developed what are called binaural beats, what you can listen to in meditation to come out of your
Oh
body.
man. All right, we're
Yeah,
gonna get it. We're gonna get into mushrooms and astral
Yes, we
projection
are.
now. Buckle
yeah,
up.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, let me tell you about where the prison planet comes from. So Robert Monroe claimed that he could come out of his body, and he wrote 3 books on it. I've read all
Well,
3 books. In one of the
like,
books, hey, Michael,
doesn't
shut up for a
it
second.
come
Just
from
listen.
Scientology?
All right. It
Oh, for
No.
real. Like Dianetics with L. Ron Hubbard. What wasn't it like
yeah.
that the aliens that they had collected, they threw them in the volcanoes or something like that, and the Thetans and
All right. All right. Okay, Michael, are you done?
Okay, moving on.
I guess
All
so.
right.
I guess so.
So let
But
me tell you where the prison planet comes from.
all right,
So
all right.
anyway, Robert Monroe claimed he could come out of his body. The CIA had him train their remote viewing team. What is known? There's a movie about it. What is it called? The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so like Thomas Campbell comes out of there. That guy that you always see on all those shows talking about remote viewing Mars. He came out of Robert Monroe's program. Anyway, the Monroe Institute still exists. You can go to it. His books are fascinating, but in one of his books, as he's traveling around and speaking to other beings that are around, he finds out that the Earth is actually a farm, and he calls it a loosh farm. And he's talking to one of these beings that basically what these non-human beings do is they have trapped human souls on this planet, and you reincarnate you immediately reincarnate after this life and come back, and they steal part of your soul
This is the
after
feel
each.
good part of the podcast, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Hey,
If you
hey,
were
hey!
waiting
I'm trying.
around for hope,
I'm trying.
you might want to tune out.
Let me explain what he found out in his book. And so basically, what happens after this life, you die. They take part of your soul, they send you back, and they wipe your brain, and you repeat this cycle. And you've done it for thousands and thousands of years. You're basically in hell. You're basically
You're in
used, and
purgatory.
he called what they take from your soul loosh. And he says that they're using this loosh and they feed off of it. That's how they use it. And when Robert Monroe became very angry at this being as he was explaining this, that what they're using, and the being basically looked at, and said to Robert Monroe, he said, "You do it to cattle. You do it to, they're conscious beings as well. Well, you have no problem with it. Why do you have a problem that we use you, a lower being,
Because
to?"
burgers taste good.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently your soul tastes very good. So
His cows are
basic,
delicious.
basically, whether or not you have negative or positive emotion, it does not matter to these beings. They want that energy. They use that energy to build things, to feed themselves. And so all that human existence is supposed to do is either constantly rile us up, get us to go to war with one another, and
To feed
this
him.
is and this is known as a prison planet. Basically, we are trapped in hell.
Well,
And
if you think about it, then we're kind of like a power generation. Like we're a source of energy or power.
yeah, that according to Robert Monroe in one of his journeyings that he did, I think he called his, I think that's his second book, if I remember right, where he talks about that. Um, but apparently, in a lot of this NIH study and different things in the military, they often say, like Tucker on his show said he was told once what this NIH and alien stuff's all about, and he goes, "It was so terrifying, I don't dare ever tell even my wife."
Well, I think we need to have a talk with them because they're creating too many sheep in this reincarnation thing.
Well, it's
You're like, fine, send us back, but do we have to be so damn dumb?
Just make me
honestly,
soft. I want to
I
be
think
soft.
the Earth could do with a nice culling.
Yeah.
I mean, so this sounds horrible because it's easy to say when it's faceless, nameless folks, right? Because I was thinking, we were talking about this the other day, Taylor and I, about how, like, even 9/11, 9/11 obviously was horrific, or Katrina or something. But when it happens within, like, the closer a tragedy happens to your personal life, the more your body, the more you can even process it, right? The more you
Oh,
can,
of
right? I
course.
mean, I remember reading something the other day. Well, it wasn't the other day; it was like a year ago. But it was about, like, these horrific floods in a part of India where like 20,000 people were killed in like 3 days, right? But that's such a big number, and it's such a hard thing to imagine relative to our life that, like, you're reading, you're like, that's terrible. But I really stopped thinking about it for the most part once I was done reading the article, and then whereas I walked around like everybody else in a daze for days after 9/11. I couldn't think about anything. I couldn't do anything.
Well,
It was just this,
there's
what's going on in the world. And so I know that's how
there.
we're wired, but
No,
we
no,
really
no,
do,
not at all. No,
I'm almost done here. The
it's
point is
human
this:
nature.
it is
Oh, go
human
ahead.
nature, but the point is the culling comment. Like, it's silly to look at a gigantic blockbuster like the Avengers, but you get a little older, and you're like, maybe that Thanos guy was onto something. Because there's
No,
a
for
whole
real.
lot of us.
It's like if you had the glove with all the stones, like you wouldn't snap your fingers.
I mean, maybe,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? Like, that seems, it seems horrible to say out loud, but
But
there's a lot of concern with how much of us there are and what it's doing to our world and our societies. And I don't know, man.
well, but
I don't know
well,
what the
but
answer
you
is.
know, but that actually brings up kind of what we've been talking about. So, on one side you have Elon talking about we're in a crisis where we're not having enough kids, but then you look at what we've been talking about with history, with like the flood, the flood myths and things like that, to where there has been a culling. Historically, if you treat it as actual history and not just a story, which there's a lot of evidence that points to it being fact. Was it a culling? You know, is some of this that we started talking about at the beginning of this episode, to where these this advanced society that existed before these cataclysms, there was these cataclysms, there was a culling, and it set us back and almost like hit the reset button. And it might even play into what Taylor's talking about, to where in some way, the planet Earth is a resource to some advanced civilization that we consider gods. And the fact that we exist, provides them with some resource.
Or
And so
do
every
they
once
still
in a while
exist
they
and we
have to
just don't know
reset
about it yet?
that so we don't like destroy their resource, because look at the technology we're starting to develop.
Wait, what'd you
We
just
can
say?
Oh,
What
go
did,
ahead, sorry.
no, no, but do they still exist?
Oh,
Oh,
so do
did
they?
I freeze?
I said, or do they still exist? We just don't know yet.
Who? That is what exists.
The ancient population,
Oh, that's a
Oh,
good point.
so like, could they be hidden somewhere or
like
underneath the
we're
ground or?
discovering hidden cities
Oh, well, what about the
hundreds, thousands
Stargate?
of feet underneath under the ground. Do they still exist?
Well,
Yeah,
That's a good
they're
point.
what if there's a Stargate and they just fled to other freaking planets and we're gonna find them now? Ah,
oh, hey, but,
Maybe.
ah.
Boom.
hey,
There
before
it
I
is,
forget,
boys. We figured
this
it
is
out.
very important. This is very important. And before I can forget this, so allegedly, when you die, when you come out of your body, if you want to escape the reincarnation cycle, do not come straight out of your chest or straight out of your head. Go out at a 45-degree angle. All
Through your
right,
butthole.
through your butthole. Yeah.
You got to juke.
So I
Like
saw that.
whenever
I
you
saw that on
die, your
TikTok. I
spirit's
thought
got
I
to juke.
yeah
You got to juke
Give
the
the
spirit.
I
Heisman. Give the Heisman to the Grim Reaper. What up?
yeah miss me.
Wow.
You miss me, bitch.
Miss me,
I, I
bitch.
I saw that on TikTok, so it has to be somewhat true.
Yeah, it must be true.
Oh, of course. It's on social media. It's at least 30% true.
Uh,
There's some secret Chinese meeting of like military intelligence officials right now going, we have 1.7% of the American population believing they have to leave through their butthole when they die. Operation Butthole Exit is
At a
working.
45-degree angle.
Operation Butthole is a success. And Doge finds it, and it was like $47 million to do that research.
okay, guys, we're all making a deal right now. We're all exiting our butthole when we die. So
Hey,
just
At,
when I
so
die, there's no other way I'm exiting is through my butthole.
all right, and then if we all
so,
make it to the other side without reincarnating, we'd be like, "Dang, we did it!"
hey, listen,
We'll all high five. We'll
hey,
all high
listen, I'm
five.
going to give all of you a promise right now. 100% out the butthole. At a 45-degree angle, because I'm going to be buried face down, ass up, so everybody can kiss my ass goodbye.
Perfect.
Oh my
Thumbs up
lord.
you.
I feel like we say important stuff on here, you know? I feel like we're really bringing the knowledge to the masses.
It's
Yeah.
educative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of, gentlemen, I got to go eat some dinner.
Yeah.
All right, head out.
Yeah. I gotta get
All
going
right,
too.
boys. See you
All
later.
right. Yeah, we
My
can we can we can call this. So
Hey, everyone that's listening, thanks for coming.
hey, real quick, hold on. Before we go, uh, Taylor, if you're still here, closing
yeah.
thoughts.
My closing thought on this is that apparently things are, well, I shouldn't say apparently, is to be open minded, to allow yourself to realize that all of us have a narrative, that the stuff underneath the pyramid could all be bullshit,
Yeah.
but be open-minded enough to just go, you know what? I'm not going to make an opinion either way, but I'm going to be open to the idea that there might be something completely different going on than I expected. And don't be fearful about it. Don't like mean, oh, this is the end of the world or whatever. Just go, hey, this is a possibility, and just let things play out. And then as more evidence comes about, look at things, analyze it, and then make your own determination and, kind of put things together yourself. But one, just because the scientists claim that they found these things doesn't mean they're right. They could be wrong. But these other people that are saying that there's no way that this could be true, they could be wrong as well. So enjoy the area of not knowing. It's actually a wonderful area.
Blissfully dumb.
All right,
Yes.
get going, Taylor. Get back to your wife. Give everybody my love.
All right, we'll do. Thank you.
All right,
See you, Taylor.
all right, Gary. What's your closing thoughts?
He stole a lot of thunder.
Oh, I
that
know, right? He does that.
Was going
He's
through my brain.
kind of a bitch like that.
Kinda.
He's always so insightful and shit.
I think, in closing, there is science in everything we do in life. So, if we have built something that can see so deep within the earth that we can prove something, or at least believe that we can prove something that has happened in the past, don't be so skeptical about how powerful we can be as humans with our mind.
Yeah.
So, is it true? Maybe. Is it false? Maybe. Is it possible that we can see that deep? Maybe. But Taylor took a lot of my words. Just
no, he does
believe
that.
what you
I'm actually
believe to
going
be
to
true.
piggyback off of him, to be honest.
Yeah, believe what you believe to be true, and move forward with your thoughts, and continue to share them, because it's how we grow as a race.
It really is. No, it's what you say does resonate, because we if we're not constantly questioning, and this is my closing thoughts. If we're not constantly questioning everything, what's the point of life? And that's the whole point of science, is you're supposed to question everything. That's what weirded me out so much about COVID and a lot of this global climate change and all that stuff. It's like you're supposed to question it. That's the point of science. Is you're
Yeah.
constantly questioning and having to prove and disprove, and I mean that's how science works.
I'm not a scientist, but I would not close down the world for a flu.
Well, no, and I don't want to go down that road necessarily, but
Okay.
yeah, it's like we're supposed to question things. That's how science works. But to kind of piggyback off Taylor,
Yep.
is our understanding of things has to be pliable, and the best way to do that is to stay stoic, keep your emotions out of things, keep your politics out of things, look at every topic through neutral eyes, be open to new information always seek out new information. Just because you read something or see it on social media does not mean it's true. And especially if it aligns with your personal way of thinking, question it even more. Seek out even more information on things you agree with than things you don't disagree with. Always test and check yourself to ensure that as guilty of it. I'm on a soapbox. I'm as guilty of it as anybody out there. I get caught up in trolling somebody on social media, and I'm like, you know what? It happened today. Let me go and look into this. It was a high school teacher that like slept with some students. And I made the comment, I was just like, I wish there was a hot teacher back in high school that propositioned me. I would have been on that like a fat kid on a Twinkie. You know
That's
what I
because
mean?
back in high school, all of our teachers were grandmas.
Oh, no, I had a teacher in high school that was hot as shit. She was, like, in her mid-20s, and she was hot as shit. I was like, "Please." And so I made that comment, but then I was like, "You know what?" Because people were getting, like, really heated about it. So I was like, "Let me go read the news story." So I went and read the news story, and it was, like, 13-year-old boys
Oh
that
yeah,
she took it, and I'm like, "Alright, that's a little extreme."
yeah.
That's
Look,
not a 17-year-old, that can go to war and die for their country,
right.
or at least go to boot camp. And, saying, I wouldn't mind if I hit that hot teacher, than a 13-year-old. That's a big difference. So
Huge.
I I admitted, I was like, "You know what? I was wrong. This wasn't what I thought it was." And then but still, just, the people keep coming. But anyway,
But still doing the research though.
my point being, sorry, got on a tangent there. My point being, question everything, research everything, and friggin' always be looking to expand your knowledge, and don't let your emotions control you. And I'll end with that.
I like how you
Gary, I
still.
appreciate you, brother. It's good to have you back. I hope that we see you next Sunday.
So next Sunday I'm good. Doing another spine surgery in the next couple of weeks, so I may or may not be out for the next 6 weeks.
Good. Well, good luck with that, brother. I'll be thinking about you.
Or I could just log in and y'all can see me all bound
All
up.
laid up and drugged up. All right, brother. I appreciate you either way, and I'll give you a call and check on you.
Hell yeah. All right, take care of
All right,
yourself.
man. Take care.
Thanks everyone.